inflation is a concept that everyone's going to understand, and the cost of you changing your life right now will be there, but chronic disease costs a whole lot more in 15 years, and hospital bills, and in my case, a divorce attorney, and cutting a check for half my net worth in 5 years would be a lot more expensive than going to a marriage counselor and working on myself, in the current moment.
Yeah.
So inflation's a real thing in all of our lives.
Each financial decision is not in a silo by itself. It has to be looked at and how it relates to something else in your plan. And most people are not looking at the big picture.
I'm today sitting here with Brian Pannuzzo, who runs the Success Lift. We're going to go back and we're going to go through his journey of success, complacency, passing it all away at one point maybe, and then figuring his shit out.
That's a relative term, figuring it out, by the way.
Figuring it out, but welcome. Really good to have you here today.
Thanks for having me, buddy. It's a pleasure to be here.
I cannot wait to dive. We were talking before, and there was so much wonderful content that came out that I can't wait to dive into this journey, because you and I met a year ago.
Yes, sir.
At the W Hotel at a Superhuman event. And you were far along in your journey, and I was like 3-4 months in my journey. And I remember standing in the lobby talking to you, and you were like, I'm good. And there was like a shift that happened that day. And like, I see you in a whole different frame now.
Yeah.
And what was that?
Wow, that's a deep question to start. You asked some good questions. I was good.
I was like, you were like,
Yeah, but
you were having like this comment of like, I'm good.
Yeah, and we were just talking about the sort of costs you pay along the way. I wasn't sure I wanted to incur the additional costs that I perceived there to be in order to take my physical body to another level.
Right.
Because I had already made a pretty big transformation. And we can go back all the way back.
Yeah, which I want to do.
Whenever you want.
Yeah.
But I had gotten myself to a point where I had made a lot of changes. I had gotten my life out of chaos and at the brink of a lot of different, real problems, mainly a near divorce in 2015 after my mom passed away. My wife came to me and said she wasn't so sure about our, at that point, 7 or 8 year marriage. We had 2 young kids. So,
and let's go back there for a second.
Okay, let's do that. That's more interesting.
So like your journey, I was intrigued with, because you were living a dream that most people would want to be. You're a Wall Street guy.
Yeah.
You're trading.
Yeah.
You've got the country club. You're in Bergen County.
Yeah.
You are, in anybody's eyes, kicking ass, but you're not happy.
Yeah, I wasn't happy. I thought I had everything that I wanted, and I was successful professionally, financially. I mean, I certainly knew a lot of people who made way more money than me, but from the perspective of the average, American, I did exceptionally well for myself. And like you said, I had the big house, I had the country club, I was the golf chairman, I was on the board of trustees at my golf club at a young age. I was very successful. We had the cars, we went on the vacations, and I looked good enough. And I use the analogy of like, you just had to peek inside of the front door of my house to see that it wasn't exactly everything.
What it looked like on the outside.
What it looked like on the outside. But I was real good at covering it all up. I had, I was your typical Wall Street guy. I was out 2 or 3 nights a week for a lot of my career.
Got to do it. You got to entertain.
Got to drink, got to do some gummies here and there. When you come home on a stressful Tuesday, you got to have a bottle of wine, maybe a Percocet, definitely need a Xanax or an Ambien to go to bed.
Long weekend.
After that cocktail. I thought my sole and primary job was to just provide. And I was doing that at a pretty high level.
So you were disconnected from the family too. I mean,
yeah, very disconnected. I didn't miss any major events.
Correct. You were present, but you were disconnected.
Sure. Always looking at the phone, always making sure nothing was going on at work that I was missing. My marriage was good enough. There's that phrase again.
Yeah.
Jesus, now I'm realizing it's a pretty big theme in my life.
Yeah.
My marriage was good enough. My wife and I were connected enough. We had sex once in a while. We didn't fight in public. We didn't hate each other. I knew a lot of people who were overweight, more overweight than me, who had worse vices than me, whose marriages were way worse than mine. And so I told myself this story.
You got a good. It's all good.
That it's all good.
Because you're better than everybody else.
Yeah, because I was doing a little bit better than everybody else, and I was outperforming in the main role of
Breadwinner.
the alpha male, especially in New Jersey and New York City, growing up in our state where in our environment that we're in on a daily basis, the job is to provide financially. And I was doing that.
Get up early, be on the desk early, be on for the
100%.
call, and you had to be on.
Yeah, you had to be on, but I realized I was probably, at a dimmer of a light switch, halfway up. Like I didn't know what on really could be in my life until I started to make some significant changes, for sure.
I want to save that for later. I want to come back to that. 2015, mom dies.
Yes.
How old was she?
How old was my mom? She was 66.
So really young.
Yeah, she died of ALS.
Oh.
While she was dying, I put every one of those vices that I just mentioned, took lighter fluid and I just threw it on the fire.
Accelerated it right
Yeah,
up.
so I went from being a very professional addict to an addict.
To a real expert.
To a real expert, yeah. I couldn't go see her in the hospital without just completely numbing myself. So I spent about 8 months every day numbed in some way. Still showed up to work, still was dad on the weekends, still coached here or there, but I was a shell of myself because I couldn't deal with, the pain. And when we show up to work every day, we have to check all of our feelings at the door.
Correct.
Right? And then go make our money.
Yes.
And nobody on the desk, nobody at the office wants to
Hear your
about
shit.
it. Or at least I should say, now that I feel like I'm, evolving in my old age, I told myself they didn't want to hear it. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm sure if I would have confided in someone and said, hey, I'm really struggling with this, I don't think they would have just raised their hand and said, hey, Brian's got a real problem.
Yeah.
I'm sure I would have gotten some support.
Because most people say like, oh, how are you? But they don't really want to know.
Yeah, it's surface level stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So mom passes.
Yeah.
The train continues down the road, and your wife, how soon after does she come and say?
Derailed pretty quick, about a month or so after. Yeah. And she was just like, I'm not going anywhere, but I'm not sure this is what I signed up for. And it was that moment where I was like, oh, I've created just about every problem in my life. Clearly, I didn't do anything to create my mom's getting sick and passing away, but literally everything else I created.
How did you realize that you actually created it? Wasn't something outside of you?
As soon as she said, I don't know that I'm going to stay married to you, this movie played in my mind of, backdating 10 years of my behavior, my beliefs, all the things that I did.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't awesome.
Because most
it wasn't
people,
awesome at the time,
no,
my friend.
But
I hear you.
No. But most people are like, oh, F that. And
well, that was my initial reaction. How could you do this to me? Why would you put me through this
now?
This isn't fair. Oh, I took the victim mentality really, really fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, what? Like, because that was a big elevation out.
Yeah.
So,
I should rephrase. That was probably an evolution over a number of months and years, but quickly I was like, I got to do something about this. Almost from the perspective, this is even crazy. Like, if she's going to leave me, at least I'll get into great shape and she's going to take half my money.
And I'm going to make it all back because I'm a Wall Street star.
So, and that was the first thing I did. I started to attack my physicality. I transformed my body because I told again, all the stories. I played basketball in college, right?
Yeah.
Competitive basketball.
Where'd you play?
St. Michael's College in Vermont.
Yeah.
I'm a big guy. I'm 6'6", 235 pounds, 40 pounds in college, jacked. And at the time I was 6'6", 240 pounds, not jacked. Okay. So everybody around us is gaining weight for 15 years out of school. I didn't, but I just completely transformed body composition in a bad way, not in a superhuman way.
Yeah.
And I tricked myself into thinking that I was better. I was okay. I was pretty good
Pretty good.
because
I'm better than
everybody
everybody
else was overweight and
Had shitty
struggled. But I
relationships.
had the same issues that they did. You know, I didn't look and feel good. I felt like shit every time. Sorry, I don't know if I curse on this podcast.
You can please.
I got up from the chair.
I like to curse. It's
you.
fun.
I limped my first couple steps because my back was bothering me. I had all the problems that the person that I looked to across the floor who was running the business, who was in their mid-40s, which I am now, had. They were hanging on for dear life to their marriage because they either didn't want to write their
Big check.
half their net worth, in a check to their wife. They were overweight. They drank too much. They were in daily pain. I checked all the boxes at that point at 36 years old.
So you're in crisis.
Yes.
You're getting in shape.
Yes.
When do you decide to leave the floor?
Oh man, that was another. I've been out 5 years. That was another 5 years.
Another 5 years.
Yeah. So I realized a lot of things when I started to repair my marriage. I realized that I could change the way I physically looked. I wasn't destined to be that guy, that managing director, that guy running a business.
The model
that I looked up to.
Yeah.
That was my model. That was my role model.
That was your role model.
And it's silly that I described that guy at the time or now and think that why would you ever follow somebody like that? But like that was
what everybody did.
what we did. Yeah, what we did. And to go back to what we were talking about right when you and I started talking before maybe we even started was I think so many people end up in that place. And if you got a chance to rewind the tape and said, this is what your life's going to look like in 15 years in your mid 30s, early 40s, whatever it may be, do you accept the terms? I don't know. I don't know if I would.
Yeah.
I was pretty dumb when I was 21, 22. I would have been like, yeah, sure, I'll be fine. You know, making
I'll
money, I'll be fine.
I'll have 10 million in the bank. Yeah. Fine. I'll trade all my happiness.
But at the time, I was like, well, this didn't work out the way I wanted to. I wouldn't have signed up for this.
Yeah.
I certainly love the family that I created, but certainly want a better marriage. I love the money that's in the bank, but don't like the way I look and I feel. Don't love the habits that I've created for myself. And so I started to think, like, is there a better way? Is there a better way? And that's a question that I ask myself a lot. And the more I started to change little behaviors, the compound interest of our personal lives, the things that create our wealth in our bank accounts, they create wealth in our personal lives as well, our relationships, our mindset, our physicality. And I just chipped away at that over and over and over.
What was the first thing that you found that you kind of like said?
I found that I could keep promises to myself with my physical commitments. I found that those translated into promises that I kept to my wife.
Did you do it in a book? Did you read something? Did you take a course?
So that's a great question. I started to find podcasts. I started to find personal development. Didn't know that phrase existed.
Yeah.
Didn't know belief systems existed. I was your prototypical tough guy from New Jersey.
Why would you?
Checked every box, right?
Yeah.
Athlete, alpha dude, big guy, Wall Street professional, every douchebag box you could check off. I did it.
Don't need anybody. Don't need any outside influence. I'm good.
If you told me that there was like, groups, masterminds, coaches, personal development, even 2 years prior in my early to mid 30s, I would have laughed you out of the room.
Totally.
Literally, John, I would have laughed you out of the room.
Totally rejected all.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Look at what I got going on.
Yeah.
Like you're nuts.
Yeah.
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 And so, when just simple things, man, like I'd tell my wife that I'd be home at 1 o'clock from golf on a Saturday and I'd actually show up at 1 o'clock. I wouldn't show up at 2:30 after having 4 vodkas and need to take a nap for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I would tell her that I'd be home at 7:30 because I was just going to meet a client for 2 beers right after work, and then I'd be home, and I wouldn't show up at 9:45.
All right.
Because we grabbed dinner or I met 3 other friends afterwards.
Yeah.
And so just these little things.
So you became accountable.
I became accountable like a real adult. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Crazy. And a lot of good things started to happen in my life.
So things start to happen. Work's obviously getting better.
Work is better, which I told myself a story that it couldn't, right? Like if I allocate all this time to going to the gym, eating better, spending time with my family, I'll take away from my wealth creation. False. Like couldn't be more false.
Right.
Couldn't be more false.
So that time, and that's so many, like I have referred a lot of people into the Superhuman program because it has changed my life.
Yep.
And the belief is I don't have time. I commute to the city. I drive 8 hours a day, whatever. I get on a plane. It's so possible when you make the commitment.
Yeah, it's the biggest lie that busy professionals tell themselves. They don't have time.
Yeah.
The two, I believe the two sort of biggest beliefs that are false is I don't have time, and then a few others chunk up to this sort of summary of like, I believe it has to be this way.
Right.
There isn't a better way.
Correct.
Right? Which kind of then relates to time too, but that's probably sits way up at the top of the tree.
Yeah.
That you believe that you've signed up for this life, in air quotes, the life of the high performing corporate executive, busy professional, whatever.
When I retire, I'll have time.
If I just get through this season. Yeah.
So you're going down this journey. You're improving a lot of things.
Yeah.
Business is obviously getting better.
Business was great. Yeah.
And then you leave.
I left. Yeah.
And you leave New Jersey.
I leave New Jersey. Yeah. I left a lot of things.
Yeah.
But before I left, I asked myself a question that I would imagine a lot of people who are 15 years into a career ask themselves for 2 years, almost every day. If I'm not a bond trader, if I'm not a high yield guy, if I'm not a Wall Street guy, what am I? What could I possibly do that supports this?
Correct.
How could I do this? I'm not a 22-year-old anymore. I can't YOLO life. I got 2 kids. I got a wife. I got a mortgage. I got a golf club. I like expensive shit.
I like my life.
I like my life. How can I recreate this? But what I'm doing right now, it wasn't like eating away at me like a cancer. And that was this dangerous place too, because it was like, it wasn't obvious. I was good at what I did and it was pretty good. There's that word again. There's those words again.
It was pretty good.
But it wasn't great. It wasn't great. And I finally had someone push me to start to work with people, to do something I was a little bit more passionate about.
Are you working with somebody at this point?
I joined a mastermind, which again, 2 years prior would have been like, mastermind.
A mastermind geared towards.
It was fitness. It was mostly fitness guys, mostly fitness professionals. And then there was me. I was the unicorn in the group.
So here you are, the Wall Street guy with the fitness professionals, thinking you wanted to go that direction.
I just knew I wanted to get around different people.
Right.
So I realized that I had a lot more in common with guys like that than I did guys who I sat next to every day. As much as I still love those guys, they're still my best friends.
Yeah. What is the moment where you say, I'm done?
We also were talking about moving out of New Jersey and to California, which is where we live now, in the Los Angeles area.
Beautiful.
Because my wife had previously lived there. And so technically, the two decisions were mutually exclusive. But the move absolutely influenced the change of careers. Because I would have had to, I worked I worked for some really big banks most of my career, but the last firm I worked for was a little bit more of a commission-based shop, a little bit more entrepreneurial. You're prototypical. You walk in, they throw a piece of meat on the floor and see who comes up with it, type of thing.
Yeah.
But they were great because they let their salespeople work remotely a lot.
Oh.
And so I had sales guys in Charleston. I had sales guys all over the place. But I was a trader.
But now you're free to move.
Well, I was free to move, but I thought that they would be like, yeah, of course. You wake up 4 a.m. beyond your desk in your house. You trade. We shut it down around 1:30 Pacific, and you can live your other life.
Yeah.
And they were like, nah, you can't do that as a trader. We need traders centralized because you need to disseminate the information to everybody, and we need you in a central location. Sales guy's just talking to his accounts. Doesn't matter where he's at. So if you want to switch to a salesperson, we could do that. And I could have looked for a job at some of the West Coast accounts, PIMCO, Post, Capri, like Aries, Canyon, whatever.
Bunch of them.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
But at that point, I thought, like, what am I doing? I'm really just looking for like a 2-year runway.
Right.
Because I didn't have the income, built up yet. Still don't, to be fair. And that to replace my job.
Correct. And
I was obviously scared. I'd been doing it for 20 years at that point. And I'm still telling myself, what would I do if I don't do this?
Yeah.
And so, to do this for 2 years, what am I doing? Well, I just kind of talked to myself and I was like, Screw it. Let's do it. I can always come back. I
Yeah.
can always come back to the job.
Yep.
And so I made a clean cut when we had decided to move and started a new life. And it did not go as smoothly as I expected it to. My wife went from having 2 kids and a dog to 3 kids and a dog. And one of them happened to be in his early 40s.
In his early 40s going,
Yeah.
help me, Mom.
I moved, I switched a 20-year career and left the place that I was born and raised. The only time I'd ever been 5 or 10 miles away from Bergenfield, New Jersey, where I grew up. Now I lived in the city, lived in Edgewater, lived in different areas, Cresskill, New Jersey, but I was always 10 miles away from my home.
Yeah, right.
Could close my eyes and drive anywhere, John,
Yeah, you never
right?
left anywhere.
Other than 4 years in college. And I move across the country and I change a 20-year career all in about 6 months.
Massive change.
Massive change. Yeah.
New
Massive.
community,
Everything.
and your kids are how old at this
My
point?
kids were 9 and 5 at the time.
So
Well, just about to turn 10 and 5.
so new schools, new
Everything.
friends, new
Everything.
neighborhoods,
Yeah.
like massive change.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
It didn't feel so awesome at the time, buddy.
No, but the kids adapted a lot faster.
Kids adapt very fast. Yeah. Your kids will be fine. If anyone is thinking about moving and you have young kids, they'll be just fine.
You're now out here. You left. You said, "I'm breaking. I'm going into fitness."
Yeah.
And you're in this mastermind still.
No, I was in that for the year 2018. We moved in 2019.
In 2019.
So now I'm kind of back on my own. I'm like, oh, I got this new life figured out. I don't need help. I don't need coaching. I don't need support.
Yeah, I don't need anybody. I'll just do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That worked out again for me really well, like it did in my previous aspects of my life.
So what do you do? What do you start doing at that point?
So I started to work with people that were previously me, versions of me in my prior 15 years of my life. And I still do. I work with a lot of executives inside of corporate America. I help them get wealthy in their mindsets, their physical bodies, and their relationships, because most of them have the money part figured out.
Right.
And so, all of my clients were New York, New Jersey, Connecticut based.
All online.
All online, all virtual. It still is. My one-on-one clients are still that way. I've now started to work with teams inside of corporate America via company wellness programs and executive programs.
Speaking, engagement.
But going in and working with a group of 10 people at once, or going in and working with an organization of 25, 50, 100 people.
And coaching them.
Yeah.
In fitness and all kinds of things.
Yep.
What's the name of the podcast again?
The Success Lift.
Is the company that same name?
So that's my one-on-one coaching company name and brand. High Performance Health is my executive coaching program and my company wellness program.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that journey is really interesting because you have a lot of contacts. You have a lot of people that you know. You have this massive network, but people are like, what's he doing?
Yeah.
Like, oh, Brian's doing this.
You're doing that life coaching stuff.
Yeah, like every other, like people leave Wall Street, they sell life insurance, try to go to an investment company, or they go into coaching.
Yeah.
And most people fail very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So you're now, what, 4 years?
5 years in, yeah. 5 years in.
5 years in.
Yeah.
Your life in California, by the way, I was in San Diego this morning, and it was absolutely beautiful.
It was.
And the weather there is incredible. Even the June gloom,
It's
whatever,
gone.
it's gone.
It's gone,
but
baby.
like
It's nice now.
It was beautiful.
We're paying taxes for a reason now.
You're paying
Again.
taxes for a reason.
That's right.
So it's beautiful out there. You're running this business. You're now getting control. You have control of your life, which is what you were searching for.
Yeah, that's fair.
You're in this journey. You see the potential of it, but you're still banging your head against the wall.
Some days.
But back then.
Oh, back then, yeah.
Yeah, 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
4 years ago. What's the
I put my head through the wall.
numerous times?
Yeah.
I can't. Groundhog Day, right?
Yeah.
Like you're learning the same thing.
I had this phrase, just give me a goddamn bond to trade. Like on really bad days, where I had to figure out starting a podcast and how to onboard a new client and like social media stuff. It's like, just put me in the hole and give me an axe, give me an order, Give me something to do. Let me just do what I'm really good at, because that was comfortable to me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't healthy, but it was comfortable.
But you knew how to do it.
And I knew how to do it. I knew what to expect. I knew the stress that it would create. I knew the anxiety. I knew the pressure. I was comfortable with that. And so I didn't mind that. And I think that's what a lot of people do in their lives. They keep recycling the same destructive, for lack of a better phrase, behavior, because it's familiar.
Right. They don't know.
And they know what to expect. They know what to expect on Monday morning when they wake up and they feel like shit.
Right.
And they're foggy for 2 days.
Yeah.
And then they come out of it for a day and a half or 2 days. And then it all starts over again on Thursday night.
Yeah.
You know, they don't know what to expect when they take a leap to go do something different, move across the country, change a career, decide that they're going to dramatically reduce alcohol in their life, decide they're going to recommit and increase the connection in their marriage, have hard conversations, change their diet, all the things that you know very well.
Yeah.
Those are scary because you're changing yourself at an identity level too.
Yeah.
And you have to show up to places and do different things and act a different way and be somebody different. And you get those initial resistance points from people. And so I had a lot of resistance points in a lot in my life, in areas of my life that I was just folding,
Yeah.
When we first moved. But
What do you think? Do you recall a time where you were like, oh, this is actually going to work? Because you were banging your head against the wall. Just give me the bond. Like, was there like a shift? Was there a time? Was there an event? Was there something that you did?
Yeah, it was right when COVID started in March of 2020. I was kind of dicking around I was about a year into this, like leaving. I left in April of 2019.
Yeah, bought the house in 19.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was about a year in and completely dicking around, just spending money that I had in the bank, making some money. I had clients. I had a
but a slow erosion
cute
of
little business, but just
a slow erosion of
had
your
not
capital.
changed my spending habits. We had the same lifestyle. Fortunately, I had, a bunch of runway in the bank. And I was like, if I'm going to do this, I got to do it. And I don't know if you remember, but you do remember, markets got very volatile.
Oh my God.
In March of 2020. And like, that's a trader's dream.
Bond market was destroyed.
I don't need things to go up. I don't need things to go down. I just need them to go up and down.
Correct.
I need buyers and sellers.
Volatility.
And I need people freaking out, and I need somebody wanting to buy them, and I need vice versa. And that's where, especially in my old job, where it's like there was no capital commitment.
Right.
We were not, like when I worked at UBS and I had a book, those guys got smashed. Like, yes, they were making money trading,
Right.
crossing bonds, but everything they owned got demolished. So it didn't matter. You were just fighting for your life.
Right.
The guys who didn't have balance sheet, they made a year's worth of income in a month.
Correct.
Right? Because spreads widen.
Yep.
Right? There's a little bit more distress, volatility every day. And so I had gotten 2 job offers in March of 2020 from friends, colleagues to come back. And it was like that resistance right there. Like, I just decided, it was like the freaking universe. I just decided, I was like, I either got to do this new life, or I got to stop effing around and go get another job.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to do it. And then the world blew up. And meanwhile, I'm a relatively high ticket coach thinking, oh, there goes coaching. The world's done.
The world's over. Nobody's gonna do coaching.
No one's, especially in my world, right? All my friends are fighting for their lives.
Right.
Right.
They're sitting home. They're making trading rooms in their basements.
No one's gonna pay for a expensive coach.
Shipping technology everywhere.
Yeah. So that was a moment for me where I was like, I really should consider going back. And it would have been the worst decision I ever made, because that volatility lasted a month.
Yeah, it was the craziest.
Then it was rocket ship back
How many
up.
records were set?
Yeah.
Biggest loss day, biggest gain day, biggest 7-day period, biggest lose. I mean, like, I was doing a webinar Wednesday, and I was like, okay, we just had another record of this. Like, it was crazy, the amount. So COVID's here. It's frightening. California was interesting. New Jersey was interesting. We're all sort of on lockdown. You don't know what's going to happen. But all of a sudden, business starts to happen for you.
Yeah. I mean, business started to happen because I committed to it,
Interesting. So you committed to something and it started to happen.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens, right?
It's crazy shit.
Yeah, just like in other areas of our lives. Yeah, I committed, just like, maybe to bring this all the way full circle, I committed to not being pretty good anymore in a result that I had created that I was sort of proud of, that I then built another story around, that I was like, good enough. Why would I don't, all the things that, we hear and learn, I don't need that. Why would I want that?
Yeah.
I look, why would I want to draw more attention to myself with my shirt off at the pool? I already look better than most of my friends.
Yeah.
And it's a cool place it's a cool barrier to bust through, to realize what you're capable of. And I will say, to see the knock-on effect in every other area of your life is really cool.
The ripple effect.
Yes, sir. In your business, in your relationships, obviously in your confidence. It's pretty cool.
So when you see a client that gets himself in shape and then everything else gets better, what kind of gratitude do they have for you?
I mean, it's amazing. They do the work, as you know. We have to do the work in our lives, but to give them a blueprint is cool. I always tell people, it's like, why not? If you're on the fence about this, you can always go back.
Yeah.
I went back to Jersey 3 weeks ago. I can go back.
Yeah.
I go visit.
Yeah.
I go get a job in finance. You can put back on the 20 or 30 or 50 pounds.
A couple California referrals we can make to you.
That
have trading does.
You can start drinking 4 nights a week again.
Yeah.
You won't.
But you won't.
You
That's
won't.
the key.
You won't.
There was every program, I for 33 years, I'm 56, right? I would do something and I would get a change for a while, and then something would happen. I'd go back. I just
Why is that?
Kind of give up. I don't know. Like, it wasn't working the way I wanted to. Like, I didn't get the transformation. Oh, somebody I saw on Body for Life. Remember that thing?
Yeah.
Back in the day?
Yeah.
That guy, whatever it was, 12 weeks or 18 weeks, that guy shred.
Yeah.
I'm never going to get shred.
Right.
I thought I had muscle
Yeah.
on my body. I got down. I had no freaking muscle
Yeah.
on my body. And I had thought I was working out. And I thought I was doing things. So I kept not getting the result that I wanted. And then I would slip back into the old patterns. And it wasn't until I got the right coach. And this is the key, right? Getting the right information. We all have information. Like, everybody that knows how to train.
Yes and no. I think I've now thought about this a while as I've learned more too. I think everyone knows what not to do. I'm not sure everyone knows what to do.
Yeah.
Right? How many people do you come across that ask you maybe about your physical transformation and then starts to tell you about their boot camp class and, the celery juice diet cleanse that they're on,
Yeah,
right? And their presumption. So I don't, obviously I think we all know inherently we're not supposed to sit around all day and we're not supposed to go to In-N-Out Burger, twice a day.
You drink that milkshake and have that other, that 3
But
bottles.
I don't know if everyone knows exactly what to do.
No, true.
But to be fair, I think everyone knows enough to at least not be obese.
Correct.
So, and we are. So I wonder why.
There's something that, how many people have you coached now?
It's in the hundreds.
There's something that there's a pattern that you see. And in that hundreds, there's a whole bunch of people that are relatively successful.
Yeah.
There's a small amount that are really successful. What's the magic secret or the magic bullet that you see in the super successful people?
They break, again, I'm really in on these two beliefs, these two lies that I told myself for a really long time that everybody does. They break those and they are shown a path to do it.
Yeah.
And I always say, just to review, not enough time.
Yeah.
And then believing that they've signed up for this life and there really is no other way to achieve the
this
success.
This life prevents me from having
my professional success prevents me from having these things in my personal life that would be nice to have.
Yeah.
And when you give them a blueprint, there was a key moment a couple years ago when I went all in on this, on the corporate side of it, where I was like, oh, this is where I'm an expert.
Correct.
Like, literally, I can go into an office and I can connect with every single employee there. Like, I've learned so much from John and the coaches inside of Supra.
Yeah.
None of them spent 20 years in an office like I did.
No.
And while the X's and O's are the same thing,
Yes.
I understand when someone comes to me and says, I have 2 dinners for work this week. I have to be at my son's soccer game. I have a date night. Then we have a family party at the club. And on Sunday, I was hoping to go to the Rams game or to the Giant game or whatever. And I'm like, cool, I know how to do this. So like,
That's cool.
the X's and the O's are exactly the same. None of us are doing anything different than the others, but it's just the connection that I can make to the person sitting in the chair, because I realized as I started, so when I started my new career, obviously everyone knew my old life.
Correct. They knew you as the old Brian.
I started to get introduced to people who did not know me in my old life. And a couple of my most influential clients, who are West Coast wealth management guys, had this perception. They said it one day. I was like, oh, shit. They thought that I had this Jerry Maguire moment where I was at the bottom of in 2015. So when my wife came into me and said, not so sure, that I decided with all the money in the bank to walk in and grab my goldfish and go, boys, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Who's coming with me?
Yeah.
And that's when I repaired my health. That's when I repaired my marriage. That's when I went to work on myself, yada, yada. I did all those things in your seat.
Yeah.
I did it working 10, 12 hours a day. I did it still going out 2 nights a week. I did it trying to be dad on the weekends and nights. I did it trying to repair my marriage. I did it in the same seat you're sitting in. And I say all the time, the only thing that makes me special is the commitment that I've made to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not special at the core.
Yeah.
And so if I can do it, you can do it. And I show you how to do it.
And you help people navigate the waters that you're the captain that helps them. You're helping them make this journey.
Yeah.
They're the admiral.
I'm
they're
riding
in
shotgun.
charge.
Yeah. I'm riding shotgun. I use the Waze analogy all the time. It's your car. You have to drive it. I can't. Maybe I can hold the steering wheel while you pick a booger out of your nose or fix your shoelace or something.
Yeah.
But your car, you got to drive it. I'm here to show you the turn-by-turn directions based on the destination that you have decided. And that's something I've really tapped into. It's like destination. Where are we going? Goals. What do you want? Not what do you need? What do you want?
Yeah.
And then, along the way, if we're going from New Jersey to California, we're going to make some pit stops. We got to refuel. We might even decide to see a couple sites along the way.
Yeah.
We might roll through Texas.
Take a detour.
Yeah. Have you ever been to a UT football game? And I'm like, no, John, I have not. You're like, you got to go. We got to go.
You got to go.
So we go. But 2 days later, I'm still in the parking lot telling you this is the greatest experience I've ever had. And you're like, dude, we got to get to California.
Got to get to California.
Get your ass back in the car. And those are the pit stops that people make along the way that are probably worthwhile, because who gives a shit if we get to California on Tuesday or on Thursday?
Doesn't matter.
Because we enjoyed ourselves for 48 hours along the way. But when we make those pit stops, I screwed up. I did this. I did that. I'm done. Here we are again. And so I'm helping you get your ass back in the car and back on the highway, making sure you don't go too fast to get pulled over or end up in a ditch.
Yep.
And we don't ride too slow that we never freaking get there.
Right.
And that's the other thing, in the history of the GPS system, I'm unaware of it ever sending you back home. And that's what people do. Instead of just allowing it to reroute themselves and get the frick back on the highway.
Get back on the highway.
And get on the road.
How often do you find when you set those initial goals, how long is your program with people? Like, is it a 6-month commitment that they're making to you? Or is it a year?
So I have people that commit initially for 6 months
Okay.
and end up staying with me for multiple years.
Right. So in that first six months, I set a goal with you. Let's say I set a goal. I want to get to this point in my weight. How often are people getting to that goal and going, oh, I see a completely different thing that I didn't see. Like I didn't know this was possible.
Every single time.
Every single time.
Yeah.
How exciting is that?
Awesome.
Like that's better than any bond trade.
Yeah, yes, you're right. Wow, well said, buddy. Because it's the same journey I'm on right now, and you're on.
Yeah, I'm on. Yeah, I'm on.
Again, to go back to like us hanging out last year, I thought I was in real good shape. I actually told myself that it wasn't really worth getting into even better shape because
I remember having that conversation with you.
Yeah, because I'm 45 and I have a training history of 10 plus years,
And you
even
looked-
longer.
And you looked great.
I look pretty good.
Yeah.
And
Now you look freaking
like,
great.
is it worth it? And the little did I know that I wasn't training that hard, and changing my body composition was a lot easier than I would have expected.
This is the thing that, and we'll wrap this up soon, but this is the feedback that I'm receiving from so many people. Is it sustainable? Like this weight loss that I have.
What do you tell them?
Is what you're doing right now sustainable?
You're asking me?
No. Like I asked them, like, is what you're doing right now, eating this shit and having all this stuff, like you can keep yourself at 285 pounds and you should be 190. That's easy.
Yeah.
This is actually easy when you get on the other side. It doesn't seem easy,
Right.
but it is so freaking easy. Like I haven't done cardio since March of last year.
Yeah.
I walk.
Same.
Like,
Or abs. I haven't done abs. People are like, well, how much cardio and how many ab workouts you do? I'm like,
zero.
And
I have abs for the first. I've never met my abs up until
that's amazing.
Probably September of last year.
People be, somebody who's 285 like that, I speak the vernacular of a financial professional a lot because it's how my brain still works. And it's a lot of the people that I, tend to attract. Inflation is a concept that everyone's going to understand. And the cost of you changing your life right now will be there, but chronic disease costs a whole lot more in 15 years, and hospital bills, and in my case, a divorce attorney, and cutting a check for half my net worth in 5 years would be a lot more expensive than going to a marriage counselor and working on myself, in the current moment. So inflation's a real thing in all of our lives.
Inflation is a real thing, and I think I don't think if what you're really telling me is what you're specializing is getting people to see that they can actually achieve what they truly want within the frame or the container that they're in. Like I'm a Wall Street guy, I'm an executive, I'm traveling. I can actually get these results. I don't need to defer to a point where it's too freaking late.
If I can do it, so can they.
Yeah. If I can do it, so can they.
That's right.
Now, how do people find you?
I got a podcast, the Success Lift Podcast. You can find me on social media. It's my name, Brian Pannuzzo, Instagram and LinkedIn. I put a lot of content on
Pannuzzo.
Pannuzzo.
Right. Now, in your final words here, if you had one thing to say to somebody that's on the fence about transforming their lives, getting it back in shape, what is the one thing?
You can always go back to your life right now.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it's
so easy to get back.
That simple. And that's what I realized. Like,
I could get back to where I was in like 3 weeks.
Put on 20 in a couple months if you wanted to, buddy.
Easy.
I could go back to
5,000 calories
drugs
a day and not do shit.
I could lose thousands of dollars gambling again. I mean, I could do it all if I wanted to.
Yeah.
You won't. You just won't. There's only one way to find out and to know that there's a better way, is to actually do it.
What would happen if you actually achieved this? It's pretty freaking amazing.
Pretty cool.
I really want to thank you for being on here.
I appreciate you, man.
Sharing this journey. So many people listening to this are exactly in the shoes that you were. I see it every single day.
Same.
And my goal of this podcast is to share the journeys of success and failure and the changes that people make, right?
I got a lot of both, so.
Yeah. And we all do. We all do. Like, Jesus Christ, who doesn't have failure, right?
Yeah.
But it's it's the learning that I want people to really get from this. So you sharing it at a level that most people won't, it's truly inspiring.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.
This was awesome.